True Blue Thai in Thailand. Hope you're doing well. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry, I've just realised we've just had a thunderstorm. And and I just realised the towels are outside. I brought the washing in, etc. The towels are outside. I'm a bit tired. I was up at 7 o'clock this morning, and Christ. I've just went out for a run this morning. Yay! Went out for a run with my leg. Unfortunately, I was walking, and for instance, and I felt the pain in my. I put this bandage on, and it worked to most of the degree. Kept the pain in together. But I managed to do most of the running, run about 10k. So, for instance, which is not too bad, I suppose. And also went for a nice swim with it on as well. When I could feel the coldness of the water, for instance, on the calf. And also did some good exercising on the beach, some good stretching and some good yoga on the beach. And I was greeted by a Chinese guy who found it very interesting and taking pictures of me and decided to join in with me. And Tuesday today, is it Tuesday? Days, honestly, days flying so quickly. So for instance, and the fallout from the Liverpool game is still going on. The Liverpool fans are writing to the PGMOL. The still moaning about the game, the goal which is not gone in or not allowed, etc. And the fact that Man City had something very similar but was allowed, but how come this not been allowed? For instance, Sky Sports in mainstream southern-based biased media, having deep discussions about it, bringing on referees and what happens if this and what happens if that and everything like that. And I listened to Adrian Durham, on Talk Crap, and he actually says it was 100% not a goal because of the trajectory of the ball. For instance, the ball was headed towards McAllister, and McAllister was clearly in an offside position. According to the the referee, it's conjecture. And then he had an argument with some stupid ex-football player, for instance, who wouldn't have it. His little brain just wouldn't have it. Big, tall, beefy guy, for instance, his little brain just wouldn't have it. And so that rumbles on. But the thing is, again, listening to 90% of the reporting on the game said the same thing. Even if the goal went in and Liverpool got it back to 1-1, they would still never win the game. They still would have never won the game because of Manchester City were just far better than them. And people say, it was the game-changing turning point. The headlines today, trying to grasp some kind of a saving face. My Christ, in Thailand there's a lot of saving face, but I didn't realise over here in England, etc. So the problem is, the more they go on about it, Liverpool, and the more the fans go on about it, the shameful it sounds for them. They are not addressing the elephant in the room, which is their own personal performance. They can talk about whether the goal was in or out, or the goal penalty was whether it's deflected shots, The clear fact is the Manchester City was by far the better team. And listening to ESPN, the reporters. Rob Dawson, I couldn't believe what he just said this morning. I was looking at, and he said, quote, Manchester City, it appears that they're a lot better than when we first thought. Maybe we should have been concentrating on watching Manchester City play previously, in previous games. We didn't realise they were that good. What? They didn't realise that Manchester City were that good? And the reporters in the ESPN, I'm not making it up. Hey, I didn't realise that Man City players were that good. And suddenly this this light on Darling, what we've been saying for a long time, that we could see the progression towards the end of last season. We went unbeaten. We were the form team of last season. The last 10 games were unbeaten, got to third, then went on to the Club World Cup where people were slagging it off, la la la. To me, I thought there was a unity thing was the goal of the players. We got the new Pep Linders, Jamie French and Yaya Toure brought in new fresh sounds, view fresh coaching, view fresh to replace the guys who were basically burned out, God knows what was the story, didn't coach at all, and brought in help for Pep rejuvenating themselves. The Club World Cup, when they're on the beach doing yoga, playing football, getting together with each other. And you could see the game against Juventus when we won it. Yes, we got beat by Al Hilal. I don't think that would happen today, to tell you the truth, if we played Al Hilal today. But for instance, with the way the unity, the players came together, and you could see that building of something. The new signings were coming in. Unfortunately, some of the signings, Ryan Cherky almost got injured in the international fucking break, and for instance, and now. But the mere fact that you can see the unity in the squad, the players are beginning to understand their positions better than that, because they've been trained better. Nico Gonzalez, a different player, from when he arrived. For instance, and Matthias Nunes, an absolutely fantastic right back at the moment. Nicholas O'Reilly, just a guy who's come on leaps and bounds. Phil Foden's got his smile back, for instance, so he's back. Unfortunately, he's going to play in England. With the moaning England fans. So the Erling Haaland, it rejuvenates. You can feel it. But we've been saying this for a long time, and the problem is, we've still been slagged off by the mainstream southern-based biased media because they're not taking Manchester City seriously. Because in their eyes, we've dropped off, we've fallen off the cliff, to quote Simon Jordan. We're blah, we're a has-been football club. Our defence is crap, whatever. But they're not seeing, but what we've been seeing for a long time, and this steady progression at what we said, and what have I been saying on this channel, this steady progression, this steady upcline in the in the Manchester City. Now it was good in the players, and the players coming back, and the fact is the injuries eased up. They got and you can, and I felt it for a long time, and I'm not blowing smoke at my own backside. I'm not going to tell you I'm saying, Man City are the world's best team. No, I've never said that. I never will say that. But I've always said that I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can see the fact that Man City are not a wasted club or a wasted fan, Pep Guardiola and all the people who need to stand up and be shameless. You need to stand up and apologise. What LB, typical City and all things like that need to have a cleansing podcast where you need to get fans to admit that they call Pep Guardiola out. Bernardo Silva should be sold. That for instance, Phil Foden is a waste. Is dusted. That for instance, all these people, for instance, who criticise these players because they're too old or a waste of space or unks or whatever, for instance, Matthias Nunes is a failure waiting to happen. Is a bozo boy, and honestly, for instance, and you need to be holding L. You need to stand up and say that you are the person that said these words, and have this podcast needs to have a cleansing ceremony of fans. And fans can come on here and say to whatever we had. I was the one who called Pep out and said Pep needs to go. I was the one who called out Matthias Nunes needs to go. I was the one who called out blah 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 and he needs to go, or whatever, or we're done and dusted, we're a wasted team. Okay, because again, for instance, I think, for instance, I just want these so-called fans, etc., who come out and said these things, etc., about our football club. So-called City fans who call us wasted. We expect it from the ranks the mainstream southern-based bias media. We don't expect it from our own fan base. We need you lot to come up and it was going to be loyal and realise and saying that we're not a wasted club and stop listening to the southern-based bias media, right? Because they're not watching City. Rob Dawson on that reporters. Go and watch it. We used to go. Maybe we've neglected and we didn't pay too much attention to Manchester City. But he used to call us a waste of space and blah blah blah. We've gone with just and just. How can he say that? And then he comes out and said maybe we should have spent more time watching Manchester City, right? Because it is the great. Oh my God, City are back, right? Well, we knew that we haven't gone away. Manchester City are a fantastically well-run football club. We're brilliant, right? All the way from the instructor, from the men's to the ladies, we're a brilliant run football club. And just because we had one declining season, where we still end up in an FA Cup final, we still finished third, we still won the Charity Shield, which is more than what Arsenal bloody did, okay? And United, and where did they finish, right? And so, for instance, and we started to do the reconstruction of the club and bring in new coaches and new. So, for instance, and redo the club, and new players and new coaches, etc. And because we realised there was an issue, the Club World Cup was brilliant for that. And so, for instance, because we weren't done and dusted, we just had a time out. What we did is basically went over to the wall, took the plug out, put back in, and said reset. And that's all we've done. We've done a reset. Okay? To sit there and say Manchester City are gone and done and dusted and finished and that's it, we're a gone club. Pathetic. And the way our fan base decided to actually pep out. And Pep's private life, etc. I was listening to 12th Man and for instance this Forest fan wearing sunglasses, cheeky, and then he was talking about Pep's private life. Oh, Pep went through a divorce last season. Got nothing to do with you, boy. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's the only person who's got to do with Pep Guardiola and his missus. Got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with football. Can't stand people have a right to stick their noses in to people's personal belongings. That's the reason why Phil Foden went off. Because again, it's mental. A lot of life is mental and physical. For me, it's when I'm in Thailand, that's though I live my life on mentality. I was at the beach doing yoga, doing stood still for 15 minutes, listening to this, getting my mind focused, right? Because again, you've got to have a strong mind, and they've got a strong, for instance, you have a good mindset. If you've got a good mindset, good health, whatever, for instance, you'll have a good life. So for instance, but no, it's just and players are only human. Can't stand people calling Erling Haaland a robot, a cyborg, or whatever. He's a human being, for God's sake. He just does what he does. He's just very good at does what he does. Stop slacking him off and call him a robot or some kind of cyborg or some kind of. He's just a man. He's just a man who's playing very, very, very well, and he needs to be given the credit for that, and not being compared to bloody Harry Kane, not being compared to bloody some guy from Madrid, right? He's doing it in the English Premier League, the hardest league in the world, and he's doing it in style, and he's still getting, oh well, he's not as good as Harry Kane. Who gives a flying flipping flip about Harry Kane? Honestly, it just drives me mad. Anyway, so let's move on. Right, okay. So City on tour. Okay, so our players are now gone off to a gone off to the gone off to the international break, and so we've got one or two players who have signed up for their for their where are you? For instance, their clubs. So we saw them all dressed up in the nines, etc. I've just posted I'm doing a thumbnail of quite some of the players actually turning up. I think Phil, who's looked the sharpest. I thought Ryan Cherky looked pretty nice. Looked quite sharp with his very kind of sharp dressed man, should I say? For instance, casual but smart in his shades. And then you had Erling Haaland, etc., looking quite nice with his nice suitcases. But some of the players like Donnarumma, my God. You know, right? How much money do you earn? You know. Anyway, so as of yesterday until this morning, or as well as I saw this morning, we had 18 players on international duty. No, now Nick Pope's gone down. Okay, which is good for Newcastle. Our game against Newcastle. Now James Trafford, which I felt really sorry for because he wasn't being called up. Now he's been called up for England. So right now, players on international duty. So we got Phil Foden, James Trafford, Nicholas O'Reilly, and John Stones. For Portugal, we got Bernardo Silva, Nunes, and Diaz. For Holland, Netherlands, Reinders and Aki. For Norway, Bob and Haaland. For Egypt, Omar Mamouche, come back safe. For Hungary, Ryan Shaqiri. For I don't like this one. For Croatia, Joshko Guardiola needs a rest. For Algeria, is it Algeria? Ryan Ignori. For Italia, the captain, Giancarlo Donnarumma, bellissimo. For Belgium, Jeremy Doku. For Kazakhstan, Abduldir Kuzinov, AK, and for England under 21s, Rico Lewis. So we got 19 players on international duty, probably more than any other Premier League team. Are we going to get any? What's it called? Man City's got a lot of players on international duty. No. Are we going to get any of that? No, not at all. Yeah. So anyway, I've rambled on a bit there. So, for instance, but I'm just going to read about this. This was interesting. This was about distances covered. This is about the running and what you need to do when you talk about players running in their effort in a game. Always we've played football with the ball, but we're also a team that runs incredible. We have been an example to otherwise that we wouldn't win. So you've got to be we're running. It's a lot of player stats. Those the words were Pep Guardiola after Sunday's emphatic Premier League victory over defending champions Liverpool. While the Catalan coach demands beautiful attacking football, when we have possession, energy and determination off the ball has also been a backbone of his astonishing haul of 18 major trophies in 9 full seasons at the Etihad. That's the key pillar of our recent form too. City is recovering more ground in the Premier League than any other team in the Premier League in the first 11 matches of 25-26. You know, the energy. We need the energy to fight. We've run a total of 1,269 kilometres. Yay! I ran 10 this morning. Yay! So far, average a jaw-dropping 115.4 kilometres per game. It's amazing. Our total is 7 kilometres more than the second most energetic side, Arsenal, second, with Leeds, Newcastle and Burnley completing the top 5. Where's Liverpool and United? As an individual distance covering 90 minutes, 3 of the 4 players in the Premier League who have played at least 500 minutes at ours. Yeah, so there you go. Phil Foden has enjoyed a sparkling return to form and fitness of 25-26, averaging 12.42 kilometres in every 90 minutes. Now this is the guy who was he wasn't doing it last season, and he wasn't running, he wasn't calling for the ball, he wasn't. But you can see now he's got his mojo back. He's here back. Club captain Bernardo Silva, the old man, the unk that everybody wanted to get rid of, is often nearly the top of his metric, and even in his ninth season in England, he continues to cover more ground than any of his peers. Yeah, this unk, this old man, huh? His balance out of 12.11 kilometres, putting him third in the Premier League. Third of all these youngsters, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. 61. You can still do it. Nico is fourth amongst Nico Gonzalez, fourth amongst every player of the whole decision, clocking up to 12.8 kilometers per game. That's the trio. That trio was essential to our spectacular performance against Liverpool last weekend, providing a solid foundation thanks to their selfless work in the centre of the park. It's fitting that Bernardo has been selected as Guardiola's more than any other player that led away to the boss's 1,000 game as a manager. That's why, because Pep can trust him. Because even in the darkest days, he was still running. He was still being energetic. He was still putting in a shift in, even though people wanted him off and gone. That's the reason why Pep, who sees it, right? But people always see, well, he's not doing this, he's lazy. Yeah. He clocked up 12.76 kilometres, just ahead of Foden's 12.73 kilometres and Nico 11.99 kilometres for Liverpool. Bernardo and Foden tackled against Liverpool are the third and the fourth most players that has run in any of the Premier League games this season, with Foden's tireless display against Everton last month tipping the bill at 12.85 kilometres in total. Given those staggering numbers, it's understandable why they haven't featured in every game. There you go. Talk about rest and rotation, about changing players around. Doesn't get talked about. Why we leave players on the bench. Why we need a big squad. Why we need a big squad and a fit squad. That has left Ruben Dias, Erling Haaland as the only two City players who have so far gone beyond 100 kilometres in the total this season, registering 109.6 and 105.4 respectively. Had Diaz and Haaland's display is in position as less associated with a less amount of running, it shows the boss's message has filtered through to the entire member of his squad. Haaland's job is to stay up there, even though you can see a lot of it now. He comes down to the defence, he picks up the defence in midfield, and Diaz is basically covering the defenders. You won't see Diaz apart from the corners up front. So so while we're enjoying where we're going to. So while we're all enjoying seeing the City score a league high 23 goals thus far, Guardiola made it clear to fans and assembled media on Sunday that it wouldn't be possible with the tremendous amount of running. Exactly, massive, absolutely massive. It's about the effort you put into it each game, and so for instance, and it's paying off. And again, it was the effort that we weren't seeing last season, etc. Maybe because of injuries, X, Y, blah blah blah. It's X, Y, and Z. The main reasons why we fell off the cliff. But you can see how, for instance, everything's got back to where we were, and now we'll come to second. The why we're probably one to get into the favourites, or at least second favourites now to win the Premier League. Even though I've said we'll win the league. But yeah, so there you go. Anyway, so that was that. So I've gone a bit over. I do apologise. I get carried away. Anyway, just as is about another fun storm's approaching. So, but please like and subscribe. Tell me what you're thinking. Are you right? Okay. But other than that, I'm going to let you go. So, for instance, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.